Okay, so today we are in my bedroom just for a little bit of comfort as I bring you my top 5 picks for books that you should be reading during this COVID-19 pandemic. Are you in lockdown? Are you looking for some books? Never fear, Mr. Francie is indeed here. So, a little bit of background on me in case you haven't watched before. I started my BookTube channel in the final week of January, so I have not been around here on BookTube for long, but I have read some amazing books, and I feel I have you covered with my top 5 picks for what you should read during this lockdown quarantine period. So, most of them are going to be fantasy because, ooh, I'm so sorry about the color there. The lighting. Most of them are going to be fantasy because that is my favorite pick. I love my fantasy books, but one of them is different to fantasy. Alright, let's get right into this and discuss them, shall we? Now, if you have been following my channel, this first one I'm going to recommend to you should not be a surprise at all. It is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Now, this is the first book in the series. I do have all of them. Now, I have not read all of them, however, this is The Final Empire, Book 1. I have read this, I gave it 5 stars. The Well of Ascension I read last month, and I gave that 5 stars as well. And I'm currently reading the third book in this series, which is The Hero of Ages, and it is going really well. Now, why do I recommend this book to you guys? Simply because it is the single best series that I have read. This book, the Final Empire, is the single best book that I have ever read, and that is saying something. I came into my BookTube channel thinking that I would never read anything better than Harry Potter, and then I came across this, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Now, it is a high, epic fantasy book with hard magic systems. So what does that mean? What it means is that this book is not set in our world. Yay! Let's escape this coronavirus pandemic and jump into a world that is not our own at all. You can jump into the world of Luthadel. Luthadel is an amazing world it's a dystopian sort of world with different class systems, which is very intriguing, and it becomes more intriguing in book 2 where those class systems and the political side of things is very much discussed. Book 1 revolves around the protagonist whose name is Vin and her coming into her magical abilities, shall we say. Now, I don't want to spoil this, but I will say Brandon Sanderson is an amazing writer. His writing style took me a couple of pages to get used to, but once I got used to it, I was on a ride. And let me tell you, you will be too. You will not regret reading this series at all because of just how amazing it is. Not only is the plot so captivating, not only are the magic systems so well thought out and yet really well explained, so you know exactly what's going on, but it is also an emotional roller coaster ride. I do not remember the last time I cried, and I cried twice reading this book, full on tears. It is an amazing journey. You will not regret it. That's my first recommendation, the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. My second recommendation is at least book 1, because I have read book 2, but book 1, The Selection by Kiera Cass. Now, I read this book last week and gave it 5 stars. This book follows the protagonist, America, who, alongside 35 other women, are chosen to take part in a royal version of The Bachelor, if you will. So this book also has a caste system of 8 different, that's right, 8 different classes who all have to adhere to different things. This is a dystopian romance, so it is very much dystopian. There are many different cultures within this world that they are from. And it is a really good, fun time read. If you want to read a book that is just a lot of fun and really has you just, so involved in this world and yet obsessing, for me, I was obsessing over this book all the way through, then this is the book for you. But it also has a very surprising protagonist in that When I found out what the premise was of this book, I thought the protagonist would be a certain way. She is not. It's like they've flipped the script 360 degrees, and she's just very different to really what I thought she would be, and that makes her an amazing character. There are two other amazing characters to look out for. There is the prince himself. There is more than meets the eye, but I won't say what. And there is a friend of America's that she has known all her life who, well, isn't part of the selection because he is a male, and it really just makes for a very interesting dynamic. I'm sure you will love this book. There are also princess lessons to learn along the way, so if you like the idea of princess lessons or the idea of the bachelor coming to a castle, a kingdom for a prince, then you will definitely love this book, but it is so much more than that, and you need to know that. I thought this was just about the bachelor, the selection, but it's not. It's so much more than The Selection, and you'll definitely enjoy this. So this is The Selection by Kiera Cass, and for Easter, my mother is getting me book 2, The Elite, and my sister is getting me book 3, The One. So, I mean, that's how much I love this book, and I definitely recommend it. The third book that I recommend, this is a book that is a middle grade book, and if you have a child, or if you are a child, who reads a lot, then you can definitely read this book. Otherwise, if you're a parent who wants to read something to their children that you can be guaranteed that they are going to love and that it will last the whole time you're in the lockdown, then I definitely recommend this hefty tome called Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. Now, this book does follow on from the Percy Jackson series, which I have not read. I've only read this book, but I love this book from start to end. It is very clear that Rick Riordan has done a ton of research on mythology and gods and goddesses, which are very much a part of this book. Greek and Roman, and they are very much filtered throughout the book, and the seeds are sown so incredibly well by Rick Riordan. These 3 demigods go on a quest, and it's just so much fun from start to end. I will say, the first 15 pages had me wondering what about this is fantasy, because this is a middle grade fantasy book. Because it just didn't seem like a fantasy to me. But from page 16 on, it is an epic journey. So if you're wondering where's the fantasy, or if your kids are wondering, Mum, Dad, you're up to page 15 and yet there's nothing fantastical going on. Trust me, tell them, wait to page 16, something big happens, and it just gets bigger and bigger from there. This is an amazing book. Highly recommend it. I haven't purchased the Percy Jackson series as yet, but I do plan on purchasing the first book in the Percy Jackson series and trying to get through those ones, and then I'll get on to book 2 in this series. But thank you, Rick Riordan. Very good book. Next book is another middle grade. It's in fact a middle grade sci-fi, and that is a book called Bot Wars by J.V. Cade. This book is amazing. I am not a sci-fi reader at all, you guys. No, it's not my thing, but last month in March I decided to branch out and read books of different genres, and this is the book that I chose for sci-fi. It is a middle grade, it reads like a middle grade, but it is so much fun. You have the protagonist, whose name is Trout, who is on a quest to find something, which I don't want to give away any spoilers, and along the way he meets these robots, and it's an amazing journey. I'm not a sci-fi person, and I love this book, so you don't have to be a sci-fi lover to love this book. It is very well written. In fact, I love this book so much that I looked up the author J.V. Cade and found out she only ever wrote one more book ever, and that book is the second book in this series, Bot Wars: The Meta Rising, which I can only purchase one way, and that is to get it from America, but unfortunately due to the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, the quarantine that we're all going through at the moment, I have to wait till that's lifted until I can get that book. But best believe I am going to be getting that book because I want to continue on this series. If you are considering getting this book for your child, or if your child or children, or considering reading it to them, there's really nothing that I feel I need to warn you about. It's just a lot of fun. The robots themselves have all different personalities, and they are a lot of fun. The protagonist is someone that is really hard not to get invested in and not to feel for, and it's just a lot of fun. Really, it is. I highly recommend it for your children, to read to your children, or if you're an adult and you love middle grade books, hey, there are middle grade books I love. This is one of them. I definitely recommend Bot Wars by J.V. Cade. The final book that again, sorry about the lighting. Okay, the final book I'm going to recommend during this COVID-19 lockdown, quarantine, pandemic that we are going through is a little bit more of a darker tale. It is called Evermore, and it is by Alison Noel. This is a... what do we call this? This is a paranormal romance. Now, in saying that, the romance is not a thick romance, okay? So please know that going in. If you're a lover of romances, I'm sure you'll love this book, but if you're not a lover of romances, please know that this book is not all about romance at all. This book is more about the paranormal side. So we open up with the protagonist, whose name is Eva, and Eva is psychic, so she has the ability to see other people's auras. She also has the ability to touch people or things or objects and know more about them then, and here's the twist, than she would want. She actually doesn't like being psychic. She doesn't want to be psychic, and yet she can't help it, because anytime anyone hugs her or she picks something up, she learns all this information that she just doesn't want to know. But it is amazing. And then there is a boy who comes to her school. She's currently schooling at the moment. There's a lot more to this than I'm telling you, but just giving you a brief description. There is a boy who comes to the school, and there is a lot more about him that you discover along the way. And it is just a really fun read from start to finish. It is much darker than the other books I have recommended. However, if you are someone who has read grim dark fantasies before, this is not what I would call a grim dark fantasy at all, because I don't want to go that dark. While we're going through this pandemic, we want to jump into books that are going to be a lot of fun, right? And if not, then I'll come back next time and give you some darker things to read. But this book is darker than the other ones that I have recommended. The protagonist, Eva, has gone through something prior to the book's commencement that has really affected her, and because of that, and also her abilities that she has as a psychic that she doesn't want to have, she's finding life to be quite tough at the moment, and so she's really struggling to get through certain things. But in saying that, it is a very captivating book to read. I had never heard of Alison Noel, excuse me, prior to a friend of mine recommending this book to me, but I walked away from this book saying, oh my gosh, I have to add book 2 to my April TBR, and it is on my April TBR. It's called Blue Moon, and I cannot wait to get to it. So, those are the 5 books that I recommend while you are going through this pandemic and through this lockdown. I'm going to try and hold them all up to the camera there. So we have Mistborn, The Selection, The Heroes of Olympus, The Lost Hero, Bot Wars, and Evermore. Definitely recommend all those books. And in case you were wondering, all of these books, most of them received 5 stars from me. Bot Wars received... Oh, nearly dropped a book. Bot Wars... Don't have enough hands here. Bot Wars received 4.5 stars for me, but that could have easily been bumped up to a 5. These 3... Heroes of Olympus received 5 stars from me. Selection received 5 stars from me. Any book that I've completed so far in the Mistborn series has received 5 stars, and I'm pretty sure that the the Hero of Ages will also receive 5 stars. I don't remember what I gave Evermore, but I think I gave it 5 stars. I'm pretty sure, but you can check out my Goodreads if you want. I do have the link for that below. In the meantime, I'm going to let you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Whatever it is that you are doing during this COVID-19 pandemic of quarantine, lockdown, and standard lockdown, I hope that you are staying as safe as you can and taking advantage of the amount of reading time that you have at the moment. I know that I am. I'm reading so much every day at the moment. It's crazy, and I can't wait for my monthly wrap-up to begin. But yeah, if you'd like to chat with me about whatever it is you're reading, please leave comments in the comment section below. If you have recommendations, leave them in the comment section below. Or if you'd like to email me, my email is in the description, and we can talk about anything to do with books over there if you'd like, which some of you already have, and for that I do thank you. Alright, I will leave that there, letting you guys go. Peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah. I post videos every Sunday and Wednesday with reviews in between, so I will see you again very soon. Bye guys, and happy reading! Bye!